Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, we're going to post here from X Finance Bull, and he says, you'll regret not buying HBAR under $1. $10 is programmed, $100 will shock the world. HBAR will melt faces. Are your bags ready? Okay, so thought I'd just have a conversation with this then. So let's start with the first thing. Will you regret not buying HBAR under $1? I would say so. I would 100% agree with that, to be honest with you. I think it's quite clear long term that, $1 under $1 is going to be a very good buying price for HBAR long term. So, I think I can 100% agree with that. I think, its future is way beyond $1. So $10 is programmed. Okay, so look, I'm going to say this, my thing with this is more just the wording. When it says $10 is programmed, I don't like the wording of that kind of thing, because what you're basically trying to say is that it's a guarantee that it's going to reach $10. Now, do I think that HBAR can reach $10? Yeah, absolutely. I think it can. But, do I think it's going to be anytime soon? Absolutely not. We're not talking about anything right now. We're not talking about HBAR hitting $10 this market cycle. I don't think there's any chance of that happening. So, when they say things like this, it's kind of like, don't make these kind of guarantees in the way you word things. Because again, this is, to me, is what, it's like the clickbait kind of stuff, right? Making out like this is set in stone when it just isn't, Now, do I think it can get there over time? Yeah, I do. But I'm just saying that, this isn't a guarantee. And we are talking, long term when we talk about this. We're not talking about this happening this cycle. $100 will shock the world. Okay, so, this is where, again, you kind of get to a point where you lose me. $100, I don't know if that's really going to happen, to be honest with you. And if we're talking about that kind of thing, I'll be honest with you, you're talking so far out that there's no point in really having the conversation. It's one of those things where it's why even think about that kind of value when it's going to be so far into the future, if ever, that it's just not even a relevant conversation. If anything, I would have probably said just stick to the $10. But this is what I mean. In my opinion, I'll just be honest with you, this is just my opinion, but I think this is one of those clickbait titles that get people to see it and get excited. I think that's basically the aim of this. But at the end of the day, the main premise, I will say I agree with not buying HBAR under $1. I think you will regret that. Yeah, I do, because I think, I think basically $1 could be very possible for this market cycle. I think HBAR could hit $1 and maybe a little bit more. That's very possible. So, when you look at this in the long term, and you have got to have a long term mindset with this stuff, I have said that to you guys before. You will see that these prices, in the future, these will be the prices where you say okay, this is kind of like Amazon and, Apple and stuff before they really blew up. That's the kind of point that you're in with crypto right now. So if you're in the right cryptos, and I think HBAR is one of the right cryptos in my personal opinion, I think you'll look back in, 5-10 years time and say, wow, yeah, I really did profit off of this in a big way, because I got in way before the institutions got in, and, way before anybody had a chance to really catch up. So I do think $1 is, getting in before $1, in my opinion. You're getting a bargain, it is going to take, a while to get the long-term value though. So I say, if you're thinking $10, guys, all I'll say is just have a long-term mindset. I wouldn't be thinking for example, this market cycle that HBAR is going to go to $10. In my opinion, that's not even a thought that I'm entertaining. $100 again, it's not even in my mind. It's just not even something I'm even thinking about at all, period. So I do think that's a bit over the top, in my opinion. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, guys, I will say, we're getting to a point where people believe that the bull run's still in play. Bitcoin is, still really in very high territories within the 100,000. So it is looking like that is the case, because I would have thought if this was, over, Bitcoin would have been retracing a lot harder now and struggling to get back within the 100k region, which it hasn't, that's not happened. It's managed to get back up to $110,000. It's moving it's still got life in it. So that would equate to Bitcoin hitting, seeing how far it can go in terms of a new all-time high, past $110,000, and then eventually that money coming out, the Bitcoin dominance dropping, because they then start to cycle that money into other cryptos, and that's what alt season is. So to me, that's what looks like it's playing out, and that's what I'm seeing from when I speak to a lot of analysts, and when I watch a lot of analysts like this, that's basically what they're ultimately saying. And just going off of my opinion, I'm not a chart analyst myself, but that does look like what's happening to me as well. Like when I look at it, I tend to agree. That's how it seems. So if that is the case, we are still waiting for the alt season rally, and we are still waiting to see where all this is going to go. But as I've said to you guys before, like, we've just got to have patience here. You don't get to pick when it goes off. I know a lot of people are getting a bit frustrated now at this point. Hey, like, you know, if you ask me, would I have liked to have my HBAR take off already? Of course I would. You know, I would love to have took all my profit from my cryptos at this point already, but you don't get to pick that. You don't get to decide. So at the end of the day, you've just got to have that patience and wait for its time to come. You know, like at the end of the day, like all the market is still waiting to really take off. So this isn't HBAR specific. It's just one of those things where you've got to let it all play out. And, you know, you've got these whole macroeconomic situations that keep happening now, which is like playing around with the markets as well, like keeps spooking the market. So there's a lot of things going on here that can really affect the outcomes, you know, just the way, you know, the momentum basically. So we have to let those things play out. But ultimately, everything looks like it's in place from what I can see. Analysts are saying structurally the charts are still fine, like it's not affecting the bull run or anything like that. So that's what I'm going with at the moment. And so we will see how things go. But, you know, I think a $1 for this market cycle is very possible for HBAR. I don't know if it will hit that. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll hit higher. Maybe it'll hit lower. But I do think $1 is, you know, that's not a big of an ask. You know, I think that's a very real possibility. But yeah, all I say is if you're thinking about $10, guys, for me, you know, I'm just going to say I wouldn't be thinking that for this cycle. If you're thinking that, I'd be saying think a lot more long term. So yeah, that's my thoughts at the moment. I'm just waiting to see how things pan out. If I do get any more like solid updates, information, then I'll update you guys. But yeah, we're just in this moment where like we're waiting for things to play out. It's going through a correction basically. So we've just got to let this go through its moments, and then eventually things will take off again. You know, like Bitcoin is really holding up strong. So it is showing it's still got life there. It's still got momentum. So yeah, we just wait for the next leg back up, and then that's when things should get going. So, you know, for me, I'm just here. I'm just patient. I'm just waiting. You know, that's all I can do. I'm not willing to sell at these prices because I believe it's got a lot more to go. So I have to see how things pan out. But, you know, you look at everything that's going on now, things I've been showing you lately about crypto in general, and especially HBAR, you know, like they're talking about it in America now in terms of like trying to get at the forefront of adoption and stuff like that. So, you know, the government and stuff are trying to see how they can start utilizing these assets and things like that. Like everything's moving forward, guys. So I said this before, like when there was a dip, like, do you think I'm going to sell now when you've got like a pro crypto president and they're trying to get regulations done, and, you know, they're doing a crypto asset stockpile, and you've got them talking about all these cryptos like HBAR and how they can start innovating with them? Like I'm not selling right now. This is the time to be excited, in my opinion. So we'll see if things pan out, but long term, I think we're going to be absolutely fine. That's just my opinion. So I remain as confident as I ever have been. And I just wait to see how things really do pan out. But long story short, I really still think we've got a lot more way to go at the moment, price action wise. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.